Hey, everybody, welcome back to season 5 of Think Theo. And the theme for this season is Don't Wait. So I did not wait to ask this next lady to be my guest. I met her through my Grief Educator certification class with David Kessler. We met in one of the labs, or maybe it was on the Teachers Lounge page.
Mm.
But anyway, you got to love those teacher lounges. But her name is Laura Matrisciano. And she is author of The Black Box, which she's going to talk about, author of Deserts to Mountaintops, Volume 4, Out of the Ashes. And she's going to just tell us a little bit of her journey. I just met her like a week ago. So this hasn't been a long friendship. So I'm going to learn right along with you today. So Laura, thank you for joining the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Theo. I appreciate it. And I'm honored to be here today. So, um, it's interesting. You end up having a journey in life, or in my case, multiple journeys in life that you don't expect. And when they happen, you do wonder sometimes how resilient, how strong can you be? Can you survive this? And so just to share quickly, in 2019, my beloved son, Vincent, at the age of 29, without any signs, any indication whatsoever, he died by suicide. And, they say the worst thing that can ever happen to a parent is to lose a child. And I think sometimes in our mind, we think of a child, a small child. But that's not necessarily the case. You are a mother and your child is your child, no matter how old they are.
Right.
So when Vincent left us, my world was changed forever. And during my early stages of grief, one of the things that was important to me was that I write everything down. I didn't want to forget. I didn't want to forget anything about him. I didn't want to forget anything about myself, what I was feeling. How could I heal if I couldn't remember those feelings in early raw grief? So I just have this little pamphlet here. I wrote this short story, and it's called The Black Box, The Mess Left Behind. It's available, of course, on Amazon. That's a little plug. Now, why did I give it that name? I'll tell you that in a moment. I wrote this in the earliest stages of grief when I was in such shock and disbelief. So it is unedited, it is raw, and it's my feelings, my version, if you will, of conception, carrying a child and the beauty of that, the gift of that, giving birth and the gift of giving birth, and then immediately looking into the eyes of this child, deep into their soul, and falling in love with a human being more so than yourself. How can that be? But we do. We instantly do. The rest of the Black Box talks about this beautiful young man and how we had this incredible mother-son bond. And then it goes on to the day that I received a call from my screaming daughter, who had heard through a friend. We didn't find out the traditional way. We found out a very inappropriate way that my son had died by suicide. And the rest of the Black Box talks about the horrificness of the funeral home, the death, etc., and so forth. And the reason it's called the Black Box, I've had people say to me, "Wow, there's a black box on an airplane." And I said, no, it has nothing to do with that. There's a very significant reason why it's called the Black Box. And there's a significant reason why I have that tag, The Mess Left Behind. Most people don't know that when you lose a loved one and you make the decision to cremate them, in those moments, if you don't select an urn, which how can a mother possibly do in those moments? Your mind is just 1,000 places. What happens is the funeral home gives you a black box with a label on it with your loved one's cremains in it. And it was so unbelievable to me and so impersonal that this was my beloved son in this black box that I decided to name the story The Black Box. The reason the tagline says The Mess Left Behind is one of my messages and one of my goals in life, with a couple of journeys that I've been on, this being the most challenging and most horrific to survive is if I can give anyone who's suffering, whether it's mental health or whether they're in an acute moment of pain, if I can give them a glimpse of the mess that's left behind when you leave your loved ones, the pain, the fact that you end up without even knowing it or thinking about it or wanting to, that you sentence your loved ones to a lifetime of pain. And I know, my beautiful son, I know that was not what he wanted to do. So it's my belief that I can give them a glimpse into what my life is like now, which is forever changed, forever have to carry that burden of grief. Even though you learn to live with it, it never leaves, it never goes away. We just learn to live within it. Maybe, just maybe I can save someone.
Right. That's so beautiful. I can't wait. So I can get that on Amazon?
Yes, it's called The Black Fox, The Mess Left Behind.
Okay.
It's something that you have to have as the tagline.
Yes.
So
What day,
that's
what day was that in 2019?
was April 21st. Excuse me, October 21st. Excuse me, why did I
That's
say April?
okay. April
October
21st
21st.
is my birthday.
Oh my God.
So I was like,
Wow.
wow. And so October 21st.
October 21st of 2019. Yes.
Okay.
I was on a Zoom call just like I am now. One of my daughters was texting me, Mom, call me, call me. And I was like, I can't. And then she texted me 911 and I had to drop what I was doing and take that
Yeah.
call. I was also approached, I shouldn't say approached, I was connected to a woman by the name of Jessica Buchanan.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with who she is.
Just
Uh,
from reading about the deserts to mountaintops.
mhm. So she was an aid worker in Somalia, and I forget how many years ago, let's just say 12 years ago. She was very unfortunately kidnapped by Somali pirates and held in captivity for 92 days.
Mm.
She was rescued by SEAL Team 6 because her life was in imminent danger. And by the grace of God, they were able to rescue her. Her story of the torture that she went through positioned her when she was rescued to begin this series of anthologies. So I was introduced to her through a friend of mine and we connected. So I am part author in her latest anthology, Deserts to Mountaintops, along with several other women that have incredible stories of pain, trauma, but yet resilience, strength, and survival. And I think another thing for me that's really important is when someone loses someone by suicide, there is a difference to try to understand and wrap your mind around it. And the reason I say that is when you look at the person and you look at the method of death, it's one and the same person as opposed to an accident or an illness, and not to make light of those deaths, but there's a different layer of sting, I guess I'll just say, that you have to try to stop asking the why and the how and how could he do this, how could he betray me, all these things. And so another message for me that I want to share with people who are watching or will watch this is that no matter how horrific a journey can be or perceive itself to be, our instinct to survive is so strong, and we can survive and we can experience joy and happiness again. Look at you. You're an incredible example of that. And in the early days, weeks, and months, even years, I didn't think I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually ended up in doing this voluntarily, but going to a mental health facility for a month and a half. And I did that twice to try to help myself. And I bounced around between psychiatrist and therapist and became a prescription dartboard. Literally, a prescription dartboard is how I refer to it. And I realized that none of that was really helping. It wasn't until I accepted what happened and that it wasn't his desire to betray me. It wasn't that he didn't love me. It's that he could not stand to live with the pain in that moment that he was experiencing. And so I'll share with you that my son was a recovering alcoholic who had relapsed. He was in a wonderful relationship, and unfortunately, his insecurities, his depression, and so forth just got the best of him. I have come to forgive him. I have decided and chosen that rather than spending the rest of my life suffering and disrespecting his 29 years, I'm going to celebrate and be thankful for the 29 years that I had him. So that's a choice that I've made. And it's because of that choice that I'm able to sit here and talk to you today, literally without falling to the ground. It's the message of hope that I want to send to others who are perhaps suffering with the loss of a loved one. And I would also say that one of the things that was so instrumental in my healing was community. Mm-hmm. I think for me, faith goes without saying. It was an important part of my healing, but I questioned it in the beginning. Okay. How could you take him? But I realized that really wasn't God who did that. It wasn't. So once I accepted that in an acute moment of pain, my son made a decision that I think had he not been successful, he would have thought, oh my God, what was I doing? And so part of what helped me to survive this was belonging to a community of survivors of suicide loss. So I belong to a group. We meet every Wednesday night for 2 hours via Zoom. It is Survivors of Suicide Loss. Our acronym stands for HUGS, HUGS, which stands for Helping Underserved Grieving Survivors. And our common bond is not who we lost, but how we lost them. And that group where I could actually look, it's amazing, Theo, that I'll be on a group with 20, 30 people, literally from all over the world. And when I first came to the group and I was just a mess, taking way too many prescription drugs, being way overprescribed, which is what I think our society tends to do. Let's cover this pain up. Let's numb you up.
Let's get it fixed quick.
Let's get it fixed. And it can't be fixed. When I sat at this group, let's just say 30 people on a Zoom call, and I looked at a woman who lost a son, and she was a couple years out from me, if you will, and she was smiling, and she was laughing, and she was talking to people in the group just like you and I are talking today. I said, how can she be happy? But she was. And so I wanted to grab a piece of that. I wanted to grab just a little bit of that. And the rest is kind of history with that group. They literally saved me. And I could only say to anyone who's grieving, participate in a community and try to find not a once a month community because it wasn't enough for me. It has to be something that's very, very routine and very regular. And that group, I will go to that group for the rest of my life, every Wednesday night without fail. So I wanted to share that with you, and I'll continue through my journey if you don't mind, and just change it up a little bit.
Yeah, please. Beautiful.
Well, thank you. So My grief journey hit me again when my best friend, my beloved mom, and again, you're no stranger to this. We share a lot, you and I together.
Mm-hmm.
When my mom died, now my mom died a year and a half ago at 88 of natural causes. She got an illness and she died. And I think my whole life I knew that was going to happen. But knowing it's going to happen, and then one day the person that when you opened your eyes as an infant and fell instantly in love with that person, when that happens, it is more life-changing than I think I could have ever imagined. And so again, I found myself with this horrific loss and pain. Yeah. But I shouldn't say but, and it brought me back to the grief of the loss of my son. So I was like, oh, I don't like that feeling. But I had to remember the healing journey that I was on with my son and not let the loss of my mom disrupt that, but instead use it as an example to help me on a healing journey with my mom.
Yes.
A month after my mom, if you don't mind, I'll just keep chatting here.
Keep chatting.
A month after I lost my mom, I went in for my routine and annual gynecology appointment. I always have a tongue tie with that appointment, gynecology appointment.
Yeah.
As I did like a good girl every year on time, had my mammogram. My gynecologist did the typical breast exam like they normally do. He said, everything's great. Go have your mammogram. And, for a moment I thought, I'm in my late 60s. Do I really? Yep, just go. A month after my beloved mom died. And they called me and they said, we see something suspicious. Would you mind sticking around? And I said, sure, I'll stick around. No big deal. We don't have anything genetically in our family. No history of breast cancer. I'm not worried. And now a doctor came into the room, not just a radiologist, but a doctor came in the room. And she's like, we see 3 suspicious areas of your left breast, and we'd like to do a biopsy. Can you stick around? And I'm thinking, wow, this is getting pretty serious here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little nervous, but we still have no history of breast cancer. So, okay. So I stuck around for a biopsy. And for someone who has not had a biopsy, it is a bit archaic how they do it. I won't get into the details. You can, viewers can certainly look it up, but it's very kind of antiquated the way they do it, not very comfortable. And she said, I'm going to send this away. She said, if it's benign, you'll hear from one of our receptionists. If it's malignant, you'll hear from a doctor. I said, okay. I still left there thinking, this is no big deal.
Right.
We have no history of this in our family. I'm not worried about it. I've gone every year. That's for other women. That's for people who have a history of it in their family. So about a week later, I'm on the pickleball courts. I love to play pickleball. It's one of my passions.
Oh, they do that here where I live.
Do you? Oh, I love playing. My phone rings and I recognize the number. And I'm in that second, I'm thinking, okay, is this going to be a receptionist or is this going to be a doctor? And I answer the phone and said, hello, this is Laura. May I help you? And the gentleman answers and he introduces himself as Dr. So-and-so. And I said, well, I guess I know why you're calling. So here's what he told me. He told me that you have stage 1 invasive ductal carcinoma, and we need to schedule you with a surgeon. Like, wait a minute. This cannot be. I'm a healthy woman. I exercise. I eat right. I keep my weight right. I have a positive attitude. That can't be, but it was true. I found out through further tests and so forth that I had what they refer to as triple negative breast cancer, which is the most aggressive type. I had to have a lumpectomy. I experienced 4 rounds of chemotherapy and 20 rounds of radiation.
Hmm.
And I will tell you that I learned so much about breast cancer. And so my journey now has morphed into educating women on the importance, oh my gosh, the importance of early detection. If you are of age for a mammogram, get your mammogram every year on time without fail.
Yeah.
When you're in there having your mammogram, don't leave without scheduling it for next year. This way you won't forget. If you're not of age for a mammogram, make sure every month you do a breast self-exam. And darn it, if there's the remote, tiniest little suspicion, call your doctor. Here's a fact. 1 out of 8 women today, regardless of genetics, will be diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow.
Now, think about that. Think about how many women you know in your walk of life. And just think every 8th one is going to be diagnosed if they don't go in early. Had I not had that mammogram, because breast cancer is a silent and deadly, potentially deadly disease that has no pain. By the time you feel pain, it's too late.
Okay.
So I'm on a couple of missions, Theo, and a couple of journeys. I'm a professional speaker. I love speaking in front of women's groups. I love speaking in front of groups of individuals suffering from mental health and or addiction. I love to educate people on what addiction really represents. It's not someone's fault. It's a disease. I want to educate and remind women of the importance of early detection. And I want to remind them that if we catch it early, you can survive. I have a 90% survival rate because I caught it early with the most aggressive breast cancer.
That is
How
so
blessed and how
amazing.
fortunate. Yes, how blessed and how fortunate that I am.
Just a month ago, I was called back and I had to go through ultrasound and wait in another room because they saw 2 suspicious areas. And I was not really worried, but a little worried because I think it was my great grandmother that had breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then the doctor came in. Got really scared. And then the doctor said it was fine, but he wanted me to come back in no less than no, don't wait any more than a year. So
Right.
I've got it on my calendar. I go every year. I'm so glad that I went because I didn't detect anything.
And I even had a professional. My doctor did an exam and didn't detect anything, right?
Right.
So, I think when it comes to breast cancer awareness, a couple of things. I'd like to thank the medical field for being so incredibly, when it comes to cancer, it's just a whole different care and kindness that I can't even explain to you. I said to my medical oncologist, my surgeon, and my radiology oncologist, if you guys could take the cancer word out of that journey, it was an incredible journey.
Yeah.
It was an incredible journey.
That's so great.
And yes, and I want to change women's outlook on cancer, that it doesn't have to be so scary. I will tell you that I'm watching the clock. I will tell you that when I received the call, I pictured myself, I looked kind of off into the distance, and I pictured myself as an anorexic bald woman who had no breasts. That was what I thought breast cancer meant. And that's not what it means. I would encourage any woman who is recently diagnosed to get multiple opinions. One of the things that I found and learned through one of the, cancer centers, which is where I ultimately decided to go, was that you don't necessarily have to lose all your hair. So I also want to help change. I want to help change the face of women and breast cancer. Everything you look at shows a woman that has no hair, wearing a wig or wearing, and it doesn't have to necessarily be that way. There are systems, it's called a cold capping system. Sorry, I have a stupid,
Well,
I can't believe this.
I was
I
wondering
have
about that. I was
yeah.
wondering explain how that is, because I assume that you lose all your hair.
Well, so what chemotherapy does is it attacks the fastest growing cells in your body. So it affects your hair, your nails, your saliva, your intestines, your bone marrow. So what these cold capping systems do, which is incredible, is it's like having a 5-hour brain freeze. It's a refrigeration unit that goes on your head. It was actually founded by a gentleman whose wife had breast cancer, and he was in the refrigeration business, manufacturing business,
Oh,
and he devised this system, if you will. And so while you are receiving chemotherapy, you wear this cold cap, is what they call it, and it prevents, I don't know if that's quite the right word, but for lack of a better word, it prevents the chemotherapy from hitting all the hair follicles.
that makes
So,
sense.
if you look at my head of hair today, I would say I lost about 25% of my hair during my chemotherapy, as opposed to 100% of my hair.
Right. That's great. I mean,
And so I
that's a
kept,
silver
yes,
lining.
it is. And I kept my, I kept my dignity, I guess I'll say. You think, geez, I'm going through breast cancer. Who cares about hair? But you know what? But you do.
You do.
You really care about what you look like, what you feel like. And chemotherapy is no joke. I will tell you, it is no joke. Um, I didn't realize that chemotherapy is cumulative. So the very first time I had 4 rounds, the very first time that I had it, and I had two very strong types of drugs. I came home and I was like, oh, I feel great. Oh, I'm going to breeze through this. Uh-uh. No, it really, it'll really, it'll really knock you out. And I also remember saying to my surgeon when they told me I needed chemotherapy, so wait a second, you told me that when you did the lumpectomy, I did not have to have a mastectomy. I had a lumpectomy. You told me you got what they call clean margins. Basically, they remove until they have no cancer. You told me you removed a lymph node and it was cancer-free. Why do I need chemotherapy? And it's an insurance policy to make sure that a rogue cancer cell didn't go. And I tell you, it was a difficult decision to do that, but I'm so grateful today that I did.
Yeah, you really do have to rely and trust your doctor. That's why getting more than one opinion is probably really important.
Absolutely. And if anyone wants to follow my journey, so I'm in the process. So I'm actually a retired executive. I worked in the relocation industry for 30 some odd years, and before that, I was a business owner. Right now, I'm developing my encore career, which is as a professional speaker to share my journey, the reasons that I gave to you. So I'm in the process of building my website and so forth. But for the time being, if anyone's interested in following my breast cancer journey or my journey of resilience after losing my son, they could certainly find me on Facebook by my name, Laura Matrisciano. Look into the videos section and you'll see my breast cancer journey. You'll also hear me read The Black Box in Raw Grief.
Oh, good.
And it's not for the weak of heart. I can tell you it's not for the weak of heart. But if you share that with anyone who has ever thought about taking their own life, I guarantee you they will think twice about it because they will see from a mother's eyes and a mother's heart how painful that mess is left behind.
Yeah, and You, when you talked about early in your grief, writing and just getting that out because you didn't want to forget the pain and where you were, that is exactly why I wrote my first book. I thought, I don't want to forget how any of this looks, how it smells, how it tastes, how it feels. So I wrote it all. And it's literally from the moment it began all the way through all the losses. I can go back now at any time, and some people will say, well, why do you want to re-experience that? And why do you want to stay in that? And I'm like, listen, that's with me for a lifetime.
Right.
I love the fact that I can go back and now see how far I've come in the journey and how I'm able to help others. So had I not went through that and written it all down, I don't know that I'd be a little bit fuzzy on how I got through it. So
You're absolutely right.
I'm just so
Absolutely.
thankful when you said that it resonated with me because that's why I have to write because I don't want to forget the pain
We
because
can't,
that's the love.
it is, and we can't heal from the pain if we don't remember it. You know, if you
Right.
don't remember the intensity of it, we can't. And I want to be careful with that word heal because there is no such thing as you don't heal from grief. There's no beginning
Right.
and end. You're on a healing journey,
Right.
right? That stays with you for your entire life.
Yep. We're just
Uh,
learning to live with that new counterpart, and he's always there. But
yes,
how do people,
absolutely.
so we can get in touch with you via Facebook? Do you have a website?
It's under construction right now,
Okay.
but it will be lauramover.com.
And that's Laura and then Mover.
Correct, lauramover.com.
.com.
Why did I pick that? The black box, I don't know that people would understand it.
Oh,
My name,
moving box.
yes, yeah, my last name is too long, so I went with Laura Mover. It's been my name, my email address forever, and I just decided that that would be my website.
I love
Um,
that. Now tell us in these last few minutes,
yep.
I want to hear about Vincent.
Oh my gosh. My Vincent was the best, perfect in every single way. He always used to laugh at me when I would say, "You're a master diesel mechanic." He'd like, "Mom, I just fixed trucks." I'm like, "No, honey, you're a certified master diesel mechanic." He loved his family. He loved his life. He loved his dog. And I think Vincent was happiest when he was with family. I think he was the most sad when he was alone. He struggled with being within his own self. One of the things I loved about him, besides his love of family, whenever he would call me and he would leave me a message, he would say, "Hey, Mom, it's Vince." And I'd always say, "I know who it is." He'd have to introduce himself. And he would always hang up with, "Give me a shout back, love you." And in these final minutes, my son never, at 29 years old, ever was in my presence where he said hello or goodbye without saying, "I love you," and a kiss.
Oh, he is such a good son.
It was the best, the perfect son in every way. And I know I'll be together with him again. And I always say, good morning and good night, one day closer, my son, to being together again.
That's right. And I've heard several grievers say it's not how many years or days you've been away from them that they've been gone. It's how many years or days we're closer to them.
That's right.
And
That's
I
right.
love that.
I no longer count the days or the hours. I used to do that. I no longer do that because it doesn't help with the journey. Um, and I will share with you, I know we have just a couple of moments here. I'll share with you that time. Time is my best friend and my worst enemy. It's my best friend because it pushes me further away from the intense pain, but it's my worst enemy because it pushes me further away from his physical being.
Right. It's like how many years now have we not heard their voice or,
Yes. Yes.
forget their touch? Yeah.
Well, I'm so honored that you would ask me. You are an incredible, incredible young woman with the journey that you've been on. And I think doing these podcasts just to enlighten people on journeys like yours and mine and that we can survive them.
Yes.
Um,
And we can not only survive, we can thrive.
and thrive.
use that meaning in our life to serve other people and help the person that we once were, and help people realize that, like you saw that lady in the Zoom and she was laughing and smiling and you wanted just a little bit of that, and there's somebody out there today that wants just a little bit of that from us.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
thank you, Laura, so much for being on this podcast. You've
Thank you.
made it great, and I will maybe get back in touch with you for the next season and see where you
That'd
are.
be great.
Website's up and all those new books are out.
Okay, sounds great. Theo, God bless you and thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Laura.